We ended up with having this not found HTTP exception error, and that's because in our test we're trying to get this route but then it doesn't exist. So how do we fix a not found HTTP exception error? Simple, by creating that route, right? So in our web.php we're gonna create a new route down here, and this is gonna be a get request because that's what we want to access, and it's to the /post/id endpoint, where the id is a parameter. And we have two choices right here. We could actually use a closure just because we want that code to work, or we could actually write the code the way we want it to work by creating a controller and all of that. But to keep it simple, I'm just going to pass in a closure right here, and let's run that test again. And we have failed asserting that an empty string contains a simple title, right? Because we are creating that post, navigating to that route with the ID of that post and expecting to see that title, see that body, and see that created at field, right? So how do we fix this? We have the ID of the post that we are trying to access right here, right? So what if we get that post and then return that data? It's gonna fix this error, obviously. So we're gonna say post equals post find using the ID that was passed in as a parameter, which we obviously have to collect right here, and then return post title and see what we get. So let's run that test again, and we have an error saying class post not found. Let's go ahead and fix that by simply writing app post, right? So specifying the namespace for that class. Run our test again, and now we have a simple title contains a simple body. So we failed asserting that this text that we receive contains this, right? So the easiest way to actually fix that is to have a view, and then that view is going to contain all of that data, right? So let's go ahead and try to fix this by returning a view, and we're going to call this view post.blade.php, and we just need to pass in the post, right? So with post, simple, right? So let's run our test, and then we have an error saying the view post cannot be found. Let's head down and try to create that in our resource views, new file, post.blade.php. Run our test again. Failed asserting that an empty string contains a simple title, which is this space right here. So I'm just gonna echo out the post title, echo out the post, and run our test again. Failed asserting that the post title now contains a simple body, so we just need to echo out the body. Let's run our test again, and then we have this error that is being thrown by PHP framework exception, and it says assert contains first parameter must be a string, but then it looks like we're passing in a string, but we actually are not passing in a string, right? We're passing in an instance of carbon, which is kind of like a class. So for us to fix this, we're just gonna use to formatted date string right here, and this is simply a method that is gonna take this instance of carbon and convert it to a string in a better or beautiful format, right? So let's run that test again, and then we have failed asserting that the body actually contains this. So we can see that this data is nicely formatted, but then it's not in the view. So let's go ahead to our view and echo out the final piece of data, post created at, and we convert this to formatted date string. Awesome. So hopefully our test should finally pass right now, because we've actually reached the last line and we have a successful test finally, right? So using that idea of test-driven development, we've been able to test drive our first feature, and that feature is a user actually being able to create a post into the database.